We've just been in conversation with Aisha Hamad Al-Hosseini, the programme specialist, the parent-friendly label. That is at the Abu Dhabi Early Childhood Authority, and they accredit companies here in the UAE that are going above and beyond for new parents in particular, but really all parents. So from parental leave to designated breastfeeding areas, coaching, flexibility and more. And because it is World Breastfeeding Week, an annual campaign to raise awareness around the benefits of breastfeeding, we've just been talking about some of the very practical barriers that so many women face. We wanted to have a chat with Louise Ormerod, the Labour Ward Manager and Lactation Consultant at Al Zahra Hospital. So if you or your partner is struggling, 4001, we'd be very happy to help. Louise, I'm surprised you're here, to be honest, because I was chatting with a midwife friend last night and she was like, oh, we're buckling up for a busy day tomorrow. We're talking about the 8th of the 8th being a bit of an auspicious day. And she said they're really busy in the labour ward on the 8th of the 8th. Is that true for you?
Absolutely.
What?
I've left work this morning and yep, it's busy. We've got lots of babies coming.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So people who are having an elective C-section going, 8th of the 8th is auspicious. We want a lucky baby.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks nice on paper. 8th of the 8th, it's seen as lucky. We have a few dates throughout the year, but yeah, this is one of them. And we see a lot of women coming in and booking their cesareans or just manifesting their baby out. Yes.
Come on, baby,
Yeah.
make an appearance today. Well, thank you for your time. Really
No
appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you for inviting me.
So tell us a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, about some of the common challenges as a lactation consultant that you are seeing mums and dads, maybe coming together. I just want to normalise that sometimes breastfeeding is really, really difficult. So what are those common challenges you're helping people with, Louise?
Like you say, Helen, breastfeeding is really difficult. It's something that I think a lot of people don't really think about. They concentrate on the labour and actually having a baby. And then breastfeeding is just thought of something that they'll do. Okay, I'm going to breastfeed. But actually it is really difficult and it's a learnt skill.
For mum and baby?
For mum and baby, absolutely. Babies are born with the instinct to breastfeed, but they have a learning process to go through as well. But as a new mum, I always say it's like learning to drive a car. It develops slowly until it becomes second nature, but that process can be difficult. And I think some of the difficulties or the common difficulties that we see is, one of them is pain. So breastfeeding can be painful, especially if you're having difficulties with positioning your baby and latching your baby at the breast. So it's a particular way that you need to have the baby latched on the breast that can make it comfortable. If that's not right, then it can be quite painful.
And if it's not shown to you, I remember my mum saying that when she had me and my brother, they'd be in the hospital for a week, 10 days sometimes.
Yes.
And that would be a midwife, a nurse showing positions, checking for tongue ties, all of that, and here in the UAE, depending on if you have a, vaginal or a C-section, it could be a few nights, it could be up to 5 nights. In other parts of the world, you can be in and out in a couple of hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, what hope do you have of trying to crack that on your own? What about when going back to work? If someone's got maternity leave of a couple of months, 5 months, can that be a very hard stop for a lot of breastfeeding women because of the practicalities? I
think it can be. Obviously, like the last guest, Aisha, was saying, it is improving, but it's taking its time. And realistically, women do have to go back to work early. And as was discussed before, workplaces they're getting there, they're getting better, but women are not always getting the help and the support that they need in returning to work. So for some women, it seems impossible. Mentally, practically, it's almost impossible to keep breastfeeding. But there are ways, and it is improving, but it is tricky going back to work, definitely.
What's some of the advice that you would give to someone, a mum who comes to you and says, it's 3 months, we're doing combination feeding now, but I want to keep my supply up, for example. Or, I want to be able to keep doing an evening and a morning feed. Are there things that you can do to keep your supply up, even if you are, out of the home?
Yeah, absolutely. So your breast milk supply is based on a supply and demand basis. So the more that you demand from the body, the more that you can produce, and vice versa. The less that you demand from your body, the less your milk supply will drop down. So as the build-up, as you're approaching that date when you're returning to work, try and get into that rhythm that you're going to be doing when you are at work. So if that means that you're breastfeeding directly in the morning and you're pumping throughout the day, then start getting into that rhythm before that big day comes and you're back at work.
And that will be a supply, kind of that'll address the supply issue, but presumably that'll help baby adjust in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Babies need to adjust. You know, they're used to having their mum there with them throughout the day and being breastfed on demand. So it's an adjustment process for babies. So by preparing yourself maybe 2-3 weeks beforehand and slowly getting into that pattern that you will be in and doing at work, it's not just for you and your body, it's for your baby as well.
If you've got any questions, you can reach out, and you can be anonymous if you like. I don't mind a bit, because in studio today from Al Zahra Hospital, we have got Louise Ormerod, who is labour ward manager, lactation consultant. We've had a message here, no name on it, saying, I'm going back to work after the summer and my baby relies heavily on breastfeeding to sleep. Not a problem at night time, but our nanny will be looking after him during the day, and I'm worried he won't settle into any naps without breastfeeding. What options do I have?
So again, this is one of the big difficulties, that babies are used to you being there. They get cuddled to sleep, and there's nothing wrong with that, or breastfed to sleep, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But yet, going to work, it means that you're going to have that barrier. One of the things you can try doing is, whilst you're still at home, introducing a bottle of express breast milk or formula, whichever you're going to prefer to do, before that return to work. Obviously, if the nanny's going to be at home with the baby, then perhaps the nanny can do something called baby wearing. So you can get some lovely slings that you can put your baby in, so they're close to your body, and it aids them to go to sleep. So yes, the baby might not be able to go to sleep while breastfeeding, but they can have their milk and then feel close to your body or the nanny's body, and it just helps them adjust to that separation from you.
Oh God, it takes me back, Louise. It really does. I think I'm confident I've cried to you in the past.
Yeah, I think you might have done, actually.
about the difficulties of it all, because
it's tough.
You do just take for granted that it's something that you're going to go, okay, it's the most natural way to feed a baby, so it's going to come naturally. And I really struggled, and ended up doing combination feeding, and then went back to work like many mums do. I think it was about, I think I was off about 3.5 months in total. And it just became this stop of, I'm going back to work, so this is when it's going to finish. And I was lucky enough that the babies did adjust, but still a really emotional time, because you've got that physical separation, you've got the hormonal adjustments as well. We've got a message here about stopping breastfeeding, which we're going to come to in just a few minutes, but the text lines are open if you want to share your experiences. It is World Breastfeeding Week, and of course, if you are having any problems, you are more than welcome to reach out, whether you are a husband looking to support their wife, or indeed a mum looking for the advice of Louise Ormerod, who is with us today from Al Zahra Hospital, labour ward manager and lactation consultant. 4001. We're having a few problems with the WhatsApp today, so I would use 4001 on the SMS if you would like to reach out. We are going to head over now to the lovely Milani, find out what's happening on our roads.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
With Yas Island Abu Dhabi. Stay at iconic hotels and play at record...
No, Milani, it is 2:46.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. There is an accident. This is Indira, Al Murakabat Road, heading toward. If you want to add anything else, you can text us on 4001. Please drive safely.
Thank you, Milani.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
Loads to come on the show today as we talk about the power of manifestation. As a labour ward manager, Louise, just saying there, a lot of people wanting to have their babies on the 8th of the 8th. It's a bit of an auspicious day. So what are some of the things you could be doing this afternoon, or indeed tonight, to potentially invite wealth and abundance and love and luck into your world? I know it sounds a bit woo-woo, but trust me, I think it's worth a try. We're marking World Breastfeeding Week now, and in studio today from Al Zahra Hospital, we've got the labour ward manager, lactation consultant, Louise Ormerod, and a message here from a dad, and we've got a question from a mum as well. Message saying we're so thankful for the lactation consultant at King's College for going through training sessions on how to latch our baby. For my partner, who's a new mum, I really think more awareness and training courses for new parents should be introduced. It really helps. I mean, we're both nodding along in the studio, Louise. As I said earlier, I had problems. But I wanted to ask you, when should you seek help? Because there must be so many mums, you mentioned pain before, who might have been desperate to breastfeed, but it just doesn't happen. And there are things that can be done. But when should you reach out to somebody?
I think, first of all, don't forget your pregnancy. So don't forget that preparation in pregnancy. So you've got some of the knowledge there. But then when it actually comes to breastfeeding, I would say reach out after you've had birth immediately. Ask for help within the hospital. Most of the hospitals now have lactation consultants. We've got a lovely lady called Laura. She's our resident lactation consultant. Let them come and see you in the hospital, because those first days are really important for getting it right. Like we said before, getting that latch and position correct from the beginning makes a huge difference. But then later down the line, if you're having pain, if you're having pain whilst you're breastfeeding, pain in your breasts in between breastfeeds, if your baby's not gaining weight, if you're worried about a tongue tie, then go back, reach out to that lactation consultant again and get an appointment in a clinic and see them.
Good. Be proactive.
Be proactive.
Because in other parts of the world, we actually spoke on the show the other day about this, there might be a health visitor who will knock on the door and be like, how's mum, how's baby, how's the house, how are you all getting on? Whereas if, you're suffering with postnatal depression at home, or you're in pain with breastfeeding, the idea of, packing up the car and getting in the car seat and getting on Shakeside Road can feel really, really overwhelming, which is why supportive partner and knowing help is at hand is really, really crucial. On the flip side, we've had a message here, anonymous message saying, my son's just turned 1, still breastfeeding, hadn't planned to breastfeed this long, but he wouldn't take a bottle, so it was the only way to feed and the only way to sleep because he wouldn't take a dummy. I would like to stop. I want my body back. I think he's relying on the feeding to get to sleep and it's impacting the amount he's eating. He will take some cow's milk in a sippy cup, but not a lot. How do I go about stopping breastfeeding? Should I replace one feed with a cup and then increase that, or just stop completely? So many questions, so much information.
There is.
How can we help?
So I guess there's not one right or wrong answer. There's different ways of doing it. One way of doing it is to do it gradually. So to gradually get your baby used to the fact that you're dropping feeds. So with a 1-year-old, I'm sure you're not breastfeeding every 3 hours like you would with a newborn baby, but perhaps it's those bedtime feeds or feeds through the night to get back to sleep that your baby's relying on. So it might be that you want to do that gradually and start to drop feeds. Maybe give your baby a drink of water in a sippy cup instead during the night. Maybe pats, you can sing a song to your baby, give them love, but start to drop down those breastfeeds. And the other way to do it is to go cold turkey, which I think is probably a little bit more challenging because you've got then a very unsettled baby whose whole world has changed rather than it happening gradually.
And hormonally as well, big change to your body too.
Yeah.
Is this something that a lactation consultant could kind of help you with, coach you with? Is that...
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we do quite a lot. So we get a lot of women coming in with the same question, how do they stop? So by seeing a lactation consultant, they can go through your routine currently and then set up a plan for you, put a plan in place that you can follow and have that guidance.
Louise, thank you so much for your time. Would it be weird to say Happy World Breastfeeding Week?
No. Happy World Breastfeeding Week.
And happy 8th of the 8th to anyone who's on the way to the hospital to have a very lucky baby.
Yes, indeed.
Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
And well done to all the team on what sounds like a busy day at Al Zahra Hospital. Louise Ormerod with us today.